Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Murmuhu. We saw the 6 powers of the Lord of the universe, whom the devotee calls Bhagavan. When the term Bhagavan is used, it is with respect to Bhakta. Bhakta and Bhagavan. So, how does the Bhakta see? All his glory, his powers and all. In and through that, he understands, but he doesn't seek anything out of it, because he is Bhakta. He knows his glory, but he doesn't want his glory. He knows he is all powerful, but he wants to have a personal relationship. He understands so that his surrender is true and he is walking on the path of truth. Any time, any kind of doubt should not enter into his mind that separates him from the Lord. To the extent he will be holding on to, even you see, holding on to Advaita before we enter into Dvaitic concepts. Now, Advaita is a very strong foundation which we earlier also I have mentioned about it. Why did Thakur take up the Advaita? Why did Krishna took up Advaita in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita? It begins with the Advaitic concept, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani. You are Atman, the Atman concept, the Paramatman concept. From there he begins the supreme reality. And then comes down, because not that we will be able to practice it or experience it in our life, no, but it gives a very strong base, foundation for bhakti, the edifice of bhakti to stand on it. We need some strong foundation, otherwise my bhakti will be shaking. Means any time, any flaw should not be there which can cause me separation from the too high an ideal also is very difficult for many people to raise to that standard. What they do is ultimately, if you give too high ideal, they will pull down the ideal to their level and misinterpret it. There was one great Swami who went to Banaras and started staying there, and he was master of Advaitic concepts, to the extent every bit of Shankaracharya's Bhashya on all Upanishads and Puranas, whatever is there, it was in his mouth, and he was well grounded in that Advaitic concept, and no one could defeat him in arguments or anything. So he was, but you see, the most of the Advaitins, what happens is it remains at the intellectual level. To bring it to practical level needs total renunciation of all desires, beginning from the I am body. This I seek something in the world. Seeking in the world also must end totally. I don't want anything. Just a morsel of food to sustain my body, to reach the ultimate. And a small shelter, even below the tree, is all right. Karatala Bhiksha, Tarutala Vasa is all right. So to that extent, just to sustain life, they will have something. Otherwise they don't need anything. From that they begin. But here what happens is too much of studies and no practical participation. Live a comfortable, good life and study the Advaita. Means what all I need in my life, I make arrangements and start doing the Advaitic studies. Through studies, the understanding is different. I can defeat any person through the studies. But I cannot conquer myself and reach the realization to that extent. Then when the external problems are completed, that I don't need anything in this world, then the internal, it begins with denial of the body, the denial of mind, buddhi, mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham, shivoham, shivam, identification again and again with the, where does it end? Where is the realization? So he was in that pure, like Pandits, purely grounded in the knowledge. But knowledge is intellectual knowledge. And whole of his life, many people, he had arguments, serious arguments, Dvaitins, Vishishtadvaitins, and he used to just brush them off with his arguments, quoting things and all. Equally powerful, others also will be there. But last, when he went to Kashi and started living there, one Dvaitin from South India happened to be there. And somehow they entered into a conversation. It grew into arguments, serious. Then Tarka, Vada and all came up. And unfortunately or fortunately, the Advaitin was defeated. And whole life he has spent on that, and it has his whole life is standing on that Advaita. He has sacrificed his whole life to understand that and make it his own, but without realization. So when he was defeated, his whole, on which he is standing, the pivot is removed, he collapsed. He became stark mad. He did not know what he should do, what he should not do. To that extent. Then last, he was taken to some hospital here, there. Body will follow. The same tendencies will grow in next life also. He may succeed in the next life. But to remove that, I don't know whether nature or God might have planned in a different way to take him to higher levels of realization. But anyway, that life, it went off without, like a mad person used to, totally he left everything. Dvaita, no talks, no conversations. He will sleep somewhere in the street, here, there, started growing the beard. It becomes, similarly, when the bhakta, here what happened was, the too high an ideal without proper supports. Like Thakur, when Master Mahashaya comes, he asked the question, do you believe in God with form or without form? Then he says, I like God without form. Immediately Thakur says, but see, whatever pleases you, whatever your heart accepts, follow that path, but don't think God is that only, Advaita only, non-dual only. God can be anything. He is as much non-dual, he is dual also, he is Dvaita also. When this is taught to him, God can be realized through the Nirguna Nirakara, and he is the same Saguna Sakara, then a doubt appears. How can the opposites, one is Nirguna Nirakara and Saguna Saraka, how can they be equal? Thakur says, yes, you cannot limit God. You cannot say God is this alone and not anything else. Anything that is limited, any limitation if you put on God, is Dvaitik only, Advaita is not true, then it becomes limited. So limited cannot be God. If you limit God in any way, He is Dvaitik only or Advaitik only and not this, not that, immediately we can't limit Him. I experience God in this way. Other might have experienced in some other way. So this I believe in, this I trust, this I did this sadhana, this I attained. That's all. But God can be many more things. I see a person, somebody may come and tell, you don't know him, you have wrongly understood him. He is a great thief, he was doing such things before. He says, I don't know. What I see in him is this is what I understand. This I would so say, but other things I cannot say. It is his opinion, it's his experience, it's my experience of that person. So here, same way, here we see that anything cannot be limited. He can be good to a person, he can be bad to another person. The person might have seen him as bad, someone might have seen him as good. It can be. But here, God, that's why immediately Thakur says, yes, you follow what you like and what you trust in, but never think God is only that. God is many more things. Don't limit Him. When this foundation is given of God being unlimited, then you will see that they never slip, they don't waver anymore. In my life, I saw my mother. From my childhood days, since my understanding came, she has never opened her mouth to talk anything other than God, except things which are absolutely necessary. Otherwise, she's to go on repeating stotras and this and that, non-stop she'll be chanting and doing the work. Anybody asking any question? Small answer and continue. And total dependence and trust in God. Years passed. We all grew up. And when I came to second year graduation, there was a great calamity. My sister got married and went away. My brother got married and went away. Next, I was the next one who is studying in second year graduation. My father's office was locked out because of the workers and owners conflict. My father had never saved anything in his life. Whatever remained was for the others to be given. In charity, especially for education, children used to bother. In 1950s and 60s onwards, you see, I was in 60s, end of 60s. So there was a kind of dearth in India. Education was very difficult because of expensive, but lack of wealth and money. So he used to, then next month there is no food to eat. All are fasting as if. Then my mother was constantly uttering the God name. Suddenly started getting wild. I have never seen her getting angry at all in my life. For those number of years till I went to the college, I have never seen her getting angry in any condition, nor getting despondent. She was totally, and whole nature changed. Because the situations came that mother can tolerate anything, but not children fasting because of lack of food or money. How heated she used to be. She used to tell my father, you used to give in dana, you never kept anything for tomorrow. My father would pacify. No, trust in God. These are passing days. Can't you undergo small sufferings in life like this? What is your trust in God? She used to, no, this should not have happened. And I saw, where is that bhakti? So much of bhakti, so much of devotion. Everything was at stake. Everything was lost. Because there was no Advaitic background. If Advaitic background was there, all right. The passing. There he did not have that Swami who became mad. He also did not have Dvaitic support. Just an understanding what Thakur says, God cannot be limited. He can be many things at a time. He can appear in many ways to many people at a time. It is how you approach and how He reveals to you. Don't limit. In any way don't limit. You experience, any way you experience God, you are beyond nature. You are free. You attain freedom by knowing God in any aspect. So that we see some strong foundation is always necessary for us, whether we are in any path, whatever be the path, it should not be shaking. So the Bhagavan understanding by a devotee is just to hold on to Him at all times. Never my grip should be any situation, anything happening, even death conquering me. My grip should not loosen. To that extent, you will see He is all powerful. He is omnipotent, omniscient. He knows everything. He is omnipresent. He is everywhere. So these concepts of God, these shed 6 occult powers, no, not occult powers, what do we call? Supernatural powers. Supernatural powers. That God is supposed to have Bhagavan is 6 supernatural. We saw it in detail yesterday. That Bhaga means, what Bhaga means? Aishwaryasya samagrasya Viryasya Yasha Shri Jnana and Vairagya. The 6. These are present always in the Lord of the universe. Why does the devotee see in God is, he wants to keep the relationship with God eternally and live. He knows God is all powerful, God is most compassionate, God is loving, God is holding, God alone is there, and all these things, he can freely live the world. To get rid of the world, to detach himself from the world and its hold on me, my hold on the world. To release from that, he understands that. 2 aspects. One, he should not leave the grip, he should not hold anything in the world, of anything of this world. You see, one thing we have to remember, Bhakta, Bhagavan, these two, the devotees and God, and Bhakti, the devotion, what the relationship between the Bhakta and Bhagavan is bhakti. Bhakti binds the two. That's the bridge. Bhakti is, love of God is the bridge between the bhakta and Lord. These three are not earthly things. It is not belonging to Prakriti. Bhakta doesn't belong to Prakriti, nature. He is beyond nature always. So Bhakta, Bhagavan and Bhakti do not belong to this material world. To be more specific, we will tell, they do not belong to the material world. They belong to the spiritual world. All other things, all other relationship, my father, mother, my children, my property, everything belongs to the material world. One day it will perish and it will part from me. Spiritual, what is spiritual, will never part from me. There is no parting. So, Bhakta, Bhakti and Bhagavan belongs to spiritual realm and not material realm. That's why he wants to know God as something more than what he needs. He says, Lord, you are all powerful, but I don't want anything from you. See that I do not fall into the world again, but my bhakti to you, my devotion to you, my love to you is there at all times. Yad yad bhavitavyam bhavatum bhagavan purva karmanurupam etat prarthya mama bahumatam janma janmantarepi. Bhakti rastu. How does it begin? Yad yad bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan. Yad yad bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanurupam. Missing the first line. So the Bhakta says, whatever is to happen, to loss or gain, usually this semi or this pseudo devotees, they hold on to God, sacrifice many things, go to the temple every day, they do worship at home. But when calamities come, when losses come, when the child dies, or when great property is lost, when such things happen, immediately they will start cursing God. I did so much for God, I trusted in Him, He has done like me, like this. We will be surprised. Why did God do this? As if His love and devotion was only to keep Him happy and safe in this material world. It is, we have not been taught from our childhood how to accept suffering, how to welcome it, because they are inevitable. You cannot avoid them. It's the sufferings which cannot be avoided. They are bound to come. There must be total acceptance. We are seeking happiness, but if suffering comes, we are not able to. But a true bhakta silently bears. It takes his will of God. He is showing something to me, or he is getting rid of my past karmas. It doesn't matter. Whatever suffering comes, comes to my body and mind. It doesn't matter. Let my love not decrease. Let my faith not shake. Give me more suffering. Doesn't matter. Bind me to the world. Doesn't matter. Put me in the hell. Doesn't matter. But see that my love doesn't get decreased. My faith in you should not get decreased. So the true bhakta silently bears. When happiness comes also, all right. When suffering comes also, Garamot bhi to aa gayi, Sukha Dukkha humse samaraye. The same thing, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Sukha Dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yoga yujyasva yoga karma sukha usalam. No. So Sukha Dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. Sukha Dukkha, to look upon Sukha Dukkha when it is possible is when you transcend Sukha Dukkha and go beyond, then you will see there is a state which is beyond Sukha and Dukkha. The spiritual manifestation, we are holding on to God, a bhakta holding on to God, he is becoming non-material. The moment he holds on to God, just like a electric current is there, if you touch the electric current, you become electrified. Anybody, you stand on a wooden chair and live wire you touch, you don't die. You will not get a shock also. You are standing on wood. Current must pass through you. But you are already electrified. Anybody touching you, he will die and you also will die. Anybody touching you will get shock. Because you are filled with same electricity. You are live now. Live wire. Like that. Actually, though it is not grounding through you, the moment you hold, you are completely electricity only. Human. Like that, if the moment you hold on to God, you are no more material, you are spiritual. The spiritual existence comes into your whole material awareness of your or any kind of worldly passing relationships, possessions, all these things will drop away. They are there? Yes. They are not there? Yes. It doesn't matter. I had great losses, doesn't matter. Somehow I'll make up by grace of God. They had to be lost because maybe that my karmas were like that, or it's will of God. There are only two possibilities for suffering or joy to come. It must be, if suffering comes, it must be my own past karmas bringing me suffering, or specific will of God. God wants to show something to me, and He has willed that I must suffer. So in either case, I don't worry, because it is inevitable, and I try to go beyond that. Similarly, when sukha comes, if I am not having my karma, then it is blessing of God. If suffering comes, if I don't have karma, it is the God's will. Either case, either it is God's will, I have to accept, or my own karma, I have to accept. Because I am a devotee, I take it as will of God. Because I don't find myself being aware of any karma that can give such a fruit. I don't know, at least I am not aware of any karma, at least in this life I have not done, that such a suffering must come to me. And such a great loss must happen to me, that my own child, whom I treated as my own, with great love I brought up, is lost. Somebody insulted, not able to bear that insult. But Bhakta bears it. All insults, whole world throws insult or blasphemy on him, Ninda. He can bear it for the love of God, for the love of God. So this we see, the Bhakta's understanding of the Lord of the universe, the Bhagavan, is independent of what he seeks from Bhagavan. He says, dukkha doesn't matter. Sukha doesn't matter. Don't leave me. Be with me. Be with me. Hold on to me. So this is what we expect to happen in the bhaktas. Slowly we grow in loving God. Love awakens in us. All the silently bearing all the things that come in life without resistance as the will of God generates love in the heart for God. Great sufferings are coming. I am taking it as will of God and passing through all that suffering. The moment you say it's will of God and total accept, my most beloved lover has given me something. For what is there in suffering for sake of my most beloved thing? Suppose I had a child, how much of suffering I would have undergone. I saw a woman in Karkar. Her husband was met with an accident, head injury, he was unconscious for 3 days. He never came back to consciousness. Life too was in danger. She has not taken food for 3 days at a stretch. Not even a drop of water. She is sitting out with blank eyes. She has not slept. So many people go and request her, take food. She says, no, don't give me anything now. I can't eat. My husband is in deathbed. Do you expect me to eat? She has not slept for 3 days. She was a woman who could not get up 1 hour before 6 o'clock. I used to tell her, get up and do japa before children get up. She used to say, I don't get time. So I had to tell, instead of getting up at 6, get up at 5. She was, no, impossible. Whole day I have to work. I cannot bear. And that lady has not slept for 3 days and 3 nights at a stretch. She was not able to bear any hunger. No upas was possible for her. But 3 days she has not taken food. What an amount of thing. We are having that capacity to do it for God and others. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampa Dritavigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha.